There's a truth about men that no one wants to admit. A truth that sits quietly in the shadows of every relationship you've ever entered. You felt it in the way his eyes lingered on your body before they ever searched for your soul. You've felt it in the silence after he got what he wanted. You've felt it in the ache that comes from knowing his desire didn't mean devotion. And each time a question burned in your chest: why does his lust arrive before his love? Why does he crave your body before he ever bothers to understand your mind? This isn't about blame or judgment. It's about finally understanding the silent nature of his attraction, his instincts, his journey towards loving deeply, if he ever chooses to love at all. Because if you don't understand this truth, you will keep confusing his hunger for intimacy with his readiness for commitment. And that confusion will keep breaking your heart. Watch this video till the end to understand this truth deeply, and don't forget to subscribe and like if it awakens something within you. There's a moment you will never forget: the way his eyes locked onto you across the room, the way his attention made you feel seen, alive, wanted. In that moment, your mind whispered a hope your heart wasn't ready to admit. You wanted it to be love. You wanted his gaze to see you, not just your body, not just your curves or softness or beauty, but the quiet depths of who you really are. But as days passed, you felt it. His focus was anchored in your physical presence, not your emotional truth. His touch arrived before his understanding. His compliments fell upon your skin before they ever reached your soul. And with each passing encounter, a silent ache grew inside you. You began to wonder if you were doing something wrong, if maybe you needed to show him your heart more clearly, open up your world, let him in. But the truth is, his initial desire was never about who you are on the inside. It was driven by something older, something silent and instinctive within him. His first instinct was shaped by biology, by hunger, by the pull of physical magnetism that has nothing to do with your worth or your softness or your dreams. It's not that he didn't value your soul. It's that he hadn't even considered it yet. For many men, desire comes before curiosity. Lust arrives before care. Their bodies speak before their hearts even realize there is a conversation to be had. And it's not your fault. It's not about how you dressed, what you said, how deeply you revealed yourself. It is simply how his mind works in that first moment of attraction. But this does not mean love cannot grow. It does not mean he cannot evolve beyond his instincts. It means you must understand this truth so you do not confuse the fire in his eyes with devotion in his spirit. Because when you understand that his first desire is only a spark, a silent force of nature, you will stop offering your heart to every flame that flickers. You will stand with dignity and wait to see if his soul ever catches up with his hunger. That is where your power lies. In knowing his first desire is not about who you are, but who he thinks you could become in his world. And that knowing will save you from mistaking his instincts for his love. There comes a quiet shift in the way he looks at you. At first, it's just desire. His eyes scan you like something he wants to conquer. His hands reach for you because his body tells him to. His words come heavy with wanting, not with understanding. In those first moments, his world is small. It is filled only with what he feels for you in his body. But then something changes. It's never loud. It doesn't arrive with grand confessions or sudden declarations of love. It comes quietly, almost invisibly. One morning, he wakes up and feels an ache when you're not there. One night, your absence in his bed feels like a silence he can't bear. He starts to realize he doesn't just crave your touch, he craves your presence. Your laughter starts to feel like safety. Your silence begins to feel like home. This is when lust becomes attachment, when his body's hunger finds itself tethered to his heart's need for you. At first, he doesn't even understand it. He tells himself it's just desire, just chemistry. But when he closes his eyes at night, he pictures you. Not just your skin or the softness of your lips, but your eyes when you're thinking deeply, your voice when you're tired and honest, the way your spirit calms his storms. This attachment isn't yet love. It is a silent awakening. The moment his instincts start to notice your soul, the moment his mind starts to connect pleasure with comfort, desire with safety, passion with the quiet idea that maybe he doesn't want anyone else. But here lies a truth you must carry with dignity. His attachment is not your validation. His longing is not proof of your worth. It is only proof that he is waking up to something deeper within himself. It is proof that you have become more than a body in his life. You have become a presence his spirit feels in quiet moments. If he is ready, this attachment will grow into love. If he is not, he will cling to you with desire, but remain distant with his heart. Know the difference. Because when his attachment becomes love, it won't just feel like his need for you, it will feel like his choice to stand beside you, even when his body's hunger quiets. You've felt it before. That sudden pull, that spark that sets your chest alight when his eyes meet yours. In those first moments, it feels like there is nothing separating you. It feels like desire could transform into something deeper with ease. You want to believe that his hunger for you will naturally become love, that his wanting will grow into devotion, that his physical presence will become emotional safety. But days pass, weeks pass. His touch is still there. His words still come with fire. His gaze still searches for you. And yet, you feel a wall between his body and his heart, a silent glass that keeps him from stepping fully into love with you. You start to wonder if you're doing something wrong, if you're too much or not enough, if you're misreading what his eyes are telling you. But the truth is, many men live behind that wall their entire lives because lust is simple for him. Lust is instinct, raw and silent. Lust is a doorway that requires nothing but hunger. Love is something else. Love demands his vulnerability. Love requires that he sees you not just as pleasure, but as a partner who could see his darkness and still stay. That is terrifying for a man who has built his life around armor and unspoken fear. The wall between his lust and love is built from pieces of his past, the betrayals that taught him never to trust, the failures that made him feel unworthy, the silent lessons from childhood that told him love is weakness. Each brick is an unspoken wound he carries, and you cannot tear down that wall with your softness alone. You cannot force his heart to open just because your spirit is ready. If he chooses to remain behind that wall, he will keep reaching for your body without ever offering his soul. You will feel him beside you at night, but his distance will haunt you like a shadow you cannot touch. That is the pain of loving a man who lives behind the glass. But if he chooses to dismantle it, piece by piece, you will see his desire transform. His touch will no longer just claim you, it will hold you. His eyes will no longer just devour you, they will finally see you. That is when lust ends and love truly begins. There comes a moment when everything shifts, when his gaze, once clouded by pure desire, begins to soften, when his words, once driven by wanting, begin to carry weight. It happens quietly, almost unnoticed. One day, he stops just looking at you and begins seeing you. Not your curves or your beauty or the way you move in his arms, but the silent truths etched into your eyes. This is the awakening of real connection. It is when lust's flames burn down just enough for his vision to clear, for him to sense that beneath the surface of your body lives a soul he doesn't fully understand, yet but wants to. It is when his curiosity grows beyond what you can give him into who you really are. What scares you? What calms you? What keeps you awake at night, staring at the ceiling, questioning your life? At first, this awakening feels uncomfortable to him because real connection demands that he shows up with his own truth too, that he stops hiding behind desire and begins to reveal his failures, his confusion, his silent fears. You will notice this shift in small ways, in the way he listens instead of interrupting, in the way his eyes soften when you speak about your pain, in the way his touch lingers on your back, not to ignite you, but to comfort you. For many men, this awakening feels dangerous because connection is vulnerability, and vulnerability feels like stepping into a storm without armor. But it is in this moment that he begins to realize you are not just someone he wants. You are someone he is starting to need in ways that terrify him. Someone who makes him feel exposed and safe at the same time. And for you, this is where your greatest power lies. To see this awakening without rushing it, to hold space for his truth without demanding it arrive fully formed. Because when a man awakens to real connection, he will never again be satisfied with shallow desire. He will find himself seeking the sound of your voice, the calm in your presence, the quiet knowing in your eyes that tells him he no longer has to perform to be loved. That is when he realizes his greatest desire is not your body, it is the peace he feels in your soul. There's a fear that lives quietly inside him, even when he's reaching for you with urgency, even when his touch feels possessive, even when his words sound like promises. There is a fear beneath it all that he rarely admits, the fear of losing his freedom. To you, love feels like expansion, like discovering more of yourself in the safety of someone's arms. But for him, love can feel like surrendering his independence, his silence, his right to drift through life untouched. He's been taught that loving a woman means giving up a piece of himself. That commitment is a prison, not a choice. So when he feels himself falling for you, his instinct is to pull back before it goes too far. You notice it in the way he disappears after a night that felt too intimate, in the way he laughs off deeper conversations or turns serious moments into jokes, in the way he changes the subject when you ask what he truly wants with you. It isn't that he doesn't feel. It isn't that he doesn't care. It's that his freedom feels like oxygen to him, and the thought of losing it feels like suffocation. But here is what he doesn't yet understand, Hood. Love does not take away his freedom. Real love expands it. It gives him the freedom to be honest, to be weak, to be confused. It frees him from the prison of pretending he doesn't need anyone. Because the greatest freedom is not living untouched by love. It is having the courage to let someone in and still remain yourself. If he never confronts this fear, he will keep you close enough to touch, but far enough never to feel trapped. He will keep his secrets hidden and his dreams unspoken. You will feel him there, but never fully with you. And this will drain your spirit until your heart feels like an unanswered prayer. But if he chooses to face this fear, he will realize that loving you does not chain him, it frees him. Because loving you is not about losing himself. It is about finally coming home to who he really is, without masks, without distance, without fear. That is when love becomes freedom. When he understands that choosing you is not the end of his freedom, it is the beginning of his life's deepest truth. There comes a day when something in him changes without warning. When the restless hunger that once drove him to your body quiets, and in its place rises a steady, calm longing for your soul. A day when he wakes up and realizes that his desire for you is no longer about conquest, excitement, or escape. It is about coming home. In that moment, he sees you differently. The same eyes that once searched for curves and softness now search for the truths hidden behind your quiet silences. He begins to notice things he ignored before, the way you look away when you're lost in thought, the tiredness in your voice when the world has been unkind, the small, unspoken dreams you hide because you fear disappointment. He starts to care in ways he doesn't fully understand. Suddenly, your pain feels heavier on his chest than his own. Your worries keep him awake at night, wondering how to make your world safer, kinder, softer. For so long, he loved the way your body felt against his. Now he loves the way your soul feels beside his, as if its presence calms something feral in him that nothing else ever could. But this moment doesn't come without struggle, because letting love take over means surrendering parts of himself he once vowed to protect, forever. His pride, his solitude, his guarded silence. Love asks him to step into the fire of vulnerability and trust that you will not burn him with betrayal. And that is the greatest risk of his life. When love finally takes over, his touch changes. It becomes a promise, not just a pull. His words become softer, less about proving and more about revealing. His eyes no longer seek to devour you. They seek to understand you, to learn you, to honor you. This is when his lust transforms into devotion, when his need for you is no longer about filling an emptiness, but about building something that matters, something lasting, honest, and sacred. It is when his love no longer hides behind desire, but stands in the open, unashamed, unafraid, ready to rise or fall in the truth of what he feels. That is when you will know his love has taken over, and it will never again be the same as it was before.